He did not turn himself into an expert. He did not arrive with theories or protocols, but he learnt enough to stop being afraid of her fear. So when Eliana said, "What if my body has forgotten how to heal?" he did not tell her she was being irrational. He simply said, "I don't believe your body has given up on you. I think it is fighting very hard to find its way back. And until you can believe that for yourself, I can help hold the thought for you." He never said it as a verdict, never as pressure, never as proof that tomorrow had to be better than today. He said it the way someone might keep a lamp lit in a window, not to force the traveller home, but to remind them there was still a home to come back to. If she could not speak, he texted. If she could not answer, he did not require an answer. If she could not eat, he left food without comment. If she shook while holding a mug, he did not reach for a pulse oximeter. He simply reached for her hand and steadied the ceramic until the tremor passed. No explanation, no clinical name for the pain, just the warmth of his palm and the shared understanding that some things take as long as they take. His care was consistent, reliable, dependable, and never dramatic. That was his gift. Eliana thought that balmy Friday night as they sat close to each other, not touching, not speaking, just being. She recognized that gradually they had both come to feel the years between them, the chemistry that never went away, the girl next door, the old swing, the lost love, the memories, and now the healing experience. The nights he had sat in silence, the unexpressed emotions, the life that had begun to grow around them without asking to be named too soon. His eyes held hers. Eliana looked away first, not because she did not feel it, because she did, and feeling anything tender still required courage. Julian did not reach for her. He did not turn the moment into a confession. He simply sat beside her, while the chair barely moved beneath them. But his love for her, so unconditional and so profound, made him feel as if his heart would burst. The letter was found inside a biscuit tin. Not the ordinary biscuit tin in Julian's kitchen, where Hannah searched hopefully every afternoon despite repeated disappointment. This one was older, square, blue, and decorated with faded roses. It had belonged to George's wife, who had used it for sewing thread, buttons, curtain hooks, safety pins, and the sort of small household objects no one needed until they did. George found it while looking for string. He was meant to be tying up tomato plants. Instead, he spent half an hour in the cupboard under the stairs, removing things that had no connection to gardening. Christmas wrapping paper, a torch without batteries, a shoebox full of unidentified cables, and one umbrella with a handle shaped like a duck. When Julian came in from work, George was sitting at the kitchen table with the blue biscuit tin open in front of him. "I have found evidence," he said. Julian hung his jacket over the chair. "Of what?" "That this house has been keeping secrets." "That sounds serious." "It is. Also, we need string." Julian glanced at the table. Among the buttons, hooks, and old spools of thread lay an envelope, yellowed with age. His name was written across the front in handwriting he recognized before his mind could form the thought. Julian Hart. His body went still. George noticed. "Ah," he said quietly. "So it matters." Julian reached for the envelope, then stopped before touching it. "Where did this come from?" "Tin." "Dad?" I know. Context." George leaned back in his chair. "Your mother kept all sorts of things in there. She used to collect post from the hall table when people forgot. Perhaps it was put there by mistake." Julian stared at the handwriting. Eliana's handwriting. Young Eliana's handwriting. Rounder than now. More dramatic in the loops. The J in his name carried a flourish he remembered teasing her about. The envelope had no stamp, no address, just his name. He picked it up carefully. The paper felt fragile. "When?" George asked. Julian did not answer. He turned it over. It had never been sealed properly. The gum had dried with age. He lifted the flap and took out one folded sheet. His heart beat hard once, then seemed to hold itself still. "Dear Julian, I came by today, but you were out. Your father said you had gone to speak to the university about the post in Manchester. I am trying not to be hurt that I heard it from him, and not from you, but I am hurt. I do not know whether I have misunderstood you, or whether you have changed your mind and do not know how to tell me. If you want to go, I will not stop you. I would never want to be the reason you made your life smaller. But please do not let me think I imagined what was between us. I love you. I have loved you since before I had sensible words for love. If you want me to come with you, ask me. If you want me to wait, tell me. If you want to be free, say so plainly, and I will try to be brave enough to let you go. But do not leave me in silence. Eliana. Julian read the letter once. Then again, the kitchen blurred. He sat down slowly. George watched him with sudden, sober attention. What is it? Julian held the paper in both hands. She wrote to me. Yes, I gathered. No, back then, before Manchester. George's face changed. Oh, she asked me to ask her to come. George removed his glasses, though he had not been wearing them. I see. Julian laughed once, but there was no humour in it. She thought I left without asking. And you thought? I thought she didn't want to come. I thought she had chosen to stay. I thought, he looked down at the letter, I thought she let me go. George was quiet. Julian read the final line again. But do not leave me in silence. His throat tightened. I never saw this. No. Did Mom know? I don't know. Did you? George shook his head. I would remember that. Julian looked at him. George smiled sadly. I forget where I put the milk sometimes, Julian. I do not forget heartbreak. Julian folded the letter with great care, though his hands were not steady. For more than half his life he had carried a version of the past built around Eliana's silence. Not hatred, not even blame after time softened it, but a small permanent bruise. The belief that when the moment came to choose, she had stepped back and allowed him to leave. And she had believed the same of him. Two young people, both too proud to beg, both wounded by a silence neither had chosen. George reached across the table and touched his son's wrist. "Do not run next door with that face," he said. Julian looked at him. "She needs to see it." "Yes, but not as a storm." Julian closed his eyes. His father was right. Eliana was healing, slowly, unevenly. The letter could open old tenderness, but it could also pull her into grief. He had no right to throw 25 years of what if into her lap simply because his own heart had begun racing. "I'll wait," he said. George nodded. Not too long. Julian gave him a tired smile. "You are full of balanced wisdom today. I found string in the end. It has given me confidence." He waited 3 days. Not because 3 days had any particular meaning, but because Eliana had been in a wave, and he had learned not to place even beautiful pain into the hands of someone already carrying too much. On the 4th evening, he found her on the swing. The chair barely moved beneath her. One foot rested on the grass, keeping the sway small and tolerable. The apple tree was full of leaves. The fairy lights had begun to glow, not bright enough to startle, only enough to soften the dusk. The blue notebook lay closed on her lap. She looked up when he came through the gate. "You have a face," she said. "I usually do." "No, a particular face." He smiled faintly. "You know me too well." "That may be true." The words settled between them. Julian stood beside the swing, one hand in his jacket pocket. "I found something." Eliana's hand moved instinctively to the notebook. "What?" He took out the envelope. For a moment she did not understand. Then she saw the handwriting. Her own. Not now. Then her body seemed to recognize it before her mind did. A strange sensation moved through her. Not quite fear, not quite grief, but something older. "Where did you get that?" "Dad found it in an old biscuit tin." "A biscuit tin?" "I know." She stared at it. "I wrote that." "Yes, I remember writing that." Julian's face changed. "You do?" She nodded, slowly. The memory returned, not as a scene, but as weather. Rain against the window of her little flat, the ache in her chest. Julian leaving for Manchester without asking her to come. His father opening the door. Her own pride and panic. The letter written because speaking felt impossible. The decision to leave it there because Julian was out. The days afterwards, waiting. No reply. "You never answered," she said. Julian held the envelope carefully, as though it might bruise. "I never saw it." Eliana stared at him. "No, I'm sorry." "No, I left it at your house." "I believe you." Those 3 words, different voice, different man, different wound. Still, they entered carefully. "I thought you read it and decided not to answer. I thought you knew about Manchester and decided not to come. I asked you to ask me. I know that now." She covered her mouth with one hand. For a moment, neither spoke. The swing shifted slightly beneath her. She pressed her foot into the grass, steadying it. Julian unfolded the letter and offered it to her. She did not take it at first. Then she did. Her hands trembled as she read the younger version of herself. I love you. I have loved you since before I had sensible words for love. A sound left her, half laugh, half sob. I was very dramatic. You were very honest. She read on. If you want me to come with you, ask me. If you want me to wait, tell me. If you want to be free, say so plainly. She lowered the page. I waited. So did I. No, you left, and regretted it before the train reached Birmingham. She laughed through tears. Then why didn't you come back? Pride, hurt, stupidity. I had convinced myself you were being kind by letting me go. I was begging you not to. I know that now. The pain of it moved between them, old and fresh at once. Eliana shifted along the swing. Sit, she said. Julian hesitated. Please. He sat at the far end, the way he always did when unsure how close he was allowed to be. For once, the space between them felt unbearable. She looked at the letter. I built a whole life after this. So did I. I married Sebastian. I married Claire. You had Hannah. He smiled faintly. Yes. And whatever else I regret, I cannot regret Hannah. No, they sat with the ache of the years, not trying to make it meaningful, not trying to erase it, not rushing to turn it into destiny. Eliana folded the letter carefully. Do you think things happen for a reason? Julian looked out at the garden. I think people say that when they cannot bear randomness. She smiled sadly. That sounds like you. I think some things happen because we are young and afraid and proud, and because letters fall into biscuit tins. Despite the tears, Eliana laughed. That is less poetic, but more accurate. The swing moved almost imperceptibly beneath them. For a while, they sat with the old silence now broken between them. Then Eliana said, I'm angry. At me? At the biscuit tin. Julian laughed, startled. Then she laughed too. The laughter came with tears, and the tears came with something like release. I'm angry at us, she said, at how easily we believed the worst because we were hurt. We were young. That is an explanation, not an acquittal. He looked at her. You always did argue beautifully. I thought you said I was dramatic. You were both. She smiled through the tears. The fairy lights grew clearer as the sky darkened. From next door, Hannah's voice floated faintly through an open window, arguing with George about whether revision counted if she learned facts while lying on the floor. Eliana wiped her face. What do we do with this? Julian looked at the letter in her lap. Nothing tonight. She laughed softly. Of course. I mean it. I know. You are healing. You are grieving. You have only just laid down one life. I am here. I will always be by your side, if you want me to be. I am not going anywhere. She looked down at the old letter in her lap, then at Julian, sitting beside her on the swing they had once shared when their whole future had seemed both impossible and obvious. I loved you, she said. He closed his eyes briefly. I loved you too. No, she said softly. I mean, I think some part of me did not stop. His breath caught. For once, he had no steady answer. She placed the letter between them on the swing. I'm not saying that to ask anything of you. I know. I'm saying it because I am tired of silence deciding things. Julian looked at her then. The years fell away and remained at the same time. I did not stop either, he said. The sentence was quiet. No drama, no touch, no analysis, but the air round them changed. Eliana looked towards the apple tree. Its leaves moved gently in the evening breeze. Beyond it, the sky had deepened from gold to blue. Her body was still tender. Her life was still unfinished. Nothing was simple, and yet something was true. Not everything taken had been lost forever. Not everything buried had died. Some letters waited in darkness. Some chairs survived in sheds. Some love, put away because life demanded it, remained folded inside the years, yellowed perhaps, fragile perhaps, but legible. That night, Eliana wrote in the evidence book, the letter that never arrived. Then, I am tired of silence deciding things. Then, after a long pause, some part of me did not stop. She slept badly. Truth, she discovered, could be exhausting too. But when the fear came in the night, it did not come alone. It came tenderness, with the ache of old love, and with the strange, painful beauty of a life becoming wider than illness. Next door, Julian lay awake long after midnight. On his bedside table was a copy of the letter that had never reached him. He had read it so many times, the words had begun to live in him. If you want me to come with you, ask me. He turned onto his back and stared into the dark. Not yet, he told himself. Not because he did not love her, because he sensed she was still fragile, and he loved her enough to wait. Outside, between the two houses, the restored swing moved slightly, gently, in the cool night breeze.